So guys, check out these 5 tips. If you're not doing them already, then absolutely implement them. They're going to allow you to optimize technique for peak power, which is what we want when we're trying to affect explosive profile, because we want to be explosive on the rugby pitch where it counts. So these are small and simple, but they can be game changers. Let's go. So the first one is to finish the pull. And what I mean by that is make sure you extend your hips. Sometimes I see guys going from the floor, using the momentum from the floor and not actually bringing their hips through, and therefore not getting full power into the movement. Remember, the whole point of doing the Olympic lifts and the derivatives is to affect your explosive profile to improve your peak power output. So we need to make sure that we're getting our hips through. Now, pocket cleans, this exercise here, or high hand cleans, can be a great way of teaching people just to get their hips through, get that connection, get that feeling, because there's no momentum in the bar. And yes, we want momentum and we want to go from the floor, but this is just one drill of many that can help you finish your pull and get your hips through so that you can utilize your full power. So guys, the next tip is to delay the pull. So like I said, one of the problems is people get too much momentum from the floor and they don't actually finish the pull. So just delay the pull a little bit. You can take 2-3 seconds to get to that sweet spot, the start of the second pull, before you explode. Now this is when you're learning the clean or when you're warming up, or even you can program that for a block of time. I'm not saying you should always do your cleans or snatches like that, but playing with tempo can be one way to make sure you achieve tip 1 in finishing your pull, and 2, not going too early. So sometimes guys will start their second pull before they've even transitioned into the correct posture. So sometimes delaying the pull and playing with tempo will allow you to get into the exact right position where your body wants to and can express peak power, and therefore you're training to develop peak power. If you're doing the movement with incorrect technique all the time and you're pulling too early, you're not transitioning, then you're not going to get the most out of the movement. Guys, I did a full video breaking down clean technique, which you can check out here, and that video takes a deep dive into every key position of the clean. So it might be something you want to check out. So tip number 3 is to use a hook grip. The amount of pro athletes that come into my gym and they're doing pulls and clean variations and they're not using a hook grip is crazy. It's the first thing I have to look at and coach, because you need a good connection to the barbell to make sure you're getting the most out of the movement and you're able to optimize power. Now sometimes guys that are new to it in our under 16 group, for example, they'll go, that hurts my thumbs, and there's a bit of a worry as if you're going to do damage to your thumbs. You will not do damage to your thumbs. Every weightlifter in competition uses a hook grip because they know they need a good connection to the barbell, and you do too. So if it's your first time, just like a lot of things in life, it'll be a bit uncomfortable the first couple reps, but you get used to it and there's no damage done. This is the optimal way to grip the bar when you're pulling it for cleans. In fact, we even do it when we're doing bench row and bent over rows now, just to get a nice strong grip on the bar. So use a hook grip when it comes to Olympic lifting variations. Okay, tip number 4 is keep the bar close. Now this is something I see a lot with rugby players, perhaps because they like doing biceps. But one of the things I coach my guys to do in the warm-up is turn their elbows in line with the bar. So you're actively internally rotating your shoulder and then chest out. Elbows in line with the bar and then chest out, because we want the bar to stay nice and close to us as we go through that catch and recovery phase, or that third pull as you're pulling yourself under the bar. What we don't want to do is reverse curl the bar, because that leaves us too much space. We're going to lose our balance and we're going to have to chase that bar to catch it. So it's not optimal by any means. So guys, make sure you're turning your elbows in line with the bar, chest out, and you can do this exercise as I'm showing you here to warm up before you put weight on, and that should help further down the line when you've actually got weight in the bar and you're jumping. So before we move on to our last and possibly most important tip, let's take a minute to say thank you to VITRUVE for sponsoring this video. So if you're into the gym and you're trying to get stronger and more powerful and even build muscle, you want to know about velocity-based training. We use VITRUVE's linear positional transducer to make sure we get the most out of our strength training, our power training, and our hypertrophy training, to understand if we're working as hard as we need to work and working exactly where we need to work. So guys, it's like saying you want to do 8 reps on bench press, okay? Do you just do 8 reps on bench press, or do you know exactly how much weight you did? And then did you get 8 reps or did you get 6 reps? Alright, when you use VITRUVE's encoder, you get the same information but another level in terms of how fast were you able to accelerate that weight for those reps. What was your drop off? And what weight should you use for optimal power when you're working on power exercises? These are all really important things to understand. And guys, I did a video on velocity-based training which breaks down how to use velocity-based training, how to implement it, what numbers you should be looking for. Should you be looking at peak velocity, average velocity, set velocity, etc. But suffice to say, this takes your training to another level. There's a couple of videos I've done now on velocity-based training, so if it's something you're curious about, and you should be, go and check them out and check out VITRUVE's website, which I'll link in the description below. Thanks again to VITRUVE for sponsoring this video. It's amazing to be able to use their products in my own training with my athletes training to keep the program progressing. With that said, let's get back to the last tip. So the last tip is to use pauses or complexes at some point in your program, at some point in your training year. Program that and use progressive overload. So for example, we might be doing 4 sets of 3 with a 3-second pause above the knee. Now we might be using 60% on week 1 and then going on to 65 and 70% with a 3-second pause. So it can be really challenging from a physical output point of view because you're having to pause with 70% above the knee and then generate momentum again, but it's absolutely possible. From a skill acquisition point of view, you're tidying up technique, you're creating more awareness, you're working on that connection you have with your foot and the ground, which is really important for balance. So a common error is toe lift during the first pull, and that's something that also I experience as well. So that's why pauses can be great at the end of the first pull. I'm also a huge fan of complexes. Again, same reasons, because repetition and skill acquisition and practice, but also the physical output element of it. So here's a complex that I like to use, and again I follow progressive overload over a 4 or 6 week period, and I just manipulate the volume and intensity until, in this case, I got up to 110 kilograms with the complex of justice is what we call it here. So it can be a really fun way. You don't just have to go in and do 4 sets of 3, 5 sets of 5, etc. You can get creative with it to help with your skill acquisition, which will also help with your physical output. It's kind of like chicken and the egg, they both go hand in hand. Which came first, who knows? Probably skill acquisition. But anyway guys, I think you get what I mean. So review these 5 tips, make sure you practice them. They do make a big difference. Let me know which one is relevant to you in the comment section. And thank you very much for watching this video guys. If you're interested in the top 10 strength exercises I recommend for athletes, check out this video here. I'll see you there guys, thanks for watching, cheers.